Across the state of Oregon, housing is becoming less and less affordable for renters. It's becoming harder for many to find and keep housing. But lawmakers in Salem recently passed a new law, hoping to change that. Senate Bill 608 does two important things to help renters. It puts a limit on how much landlords can raise the rent, and limits when a landlord can use no-cause evictions. Let's talk through exactly what these mean together. First, limits on rent increases. Let's say your family moves into an apartment that costs $1,500 a month. Your landlord can't raise the rent during the first year you live there. Once year 2 starts, they can, but they have to let you know ahead of time. And thanks to this new law, the most they can raise your rent by is 7% per year, plus inflation. So in 2019, for example, inflation would raise the limit to 10.3%. Keep in mind, before this law, there was no limit at all to how much a landlord could raise your rent. So these limits can have a big impact. But they only apply to buildings that are at least 15 years old. So people in newer buildings aren't protected from rent increases. Now let's talk about the second half of this bill, no-cause evictions. First off, what's a no-cause eviction anyway? It's when a landlord evicts you without giving you a reason or a chance to fix the problem. This new bill limits when landlords can do this, but the limits don't apply to people who share a 2-unit property with their landlord. So, for example, if you and your landlord share a duplex, an apartment, or a property with an ADU, landlords can still evict you for no cause. For everyone else, landlords can still evict you without a stated reason during the first year. But after the first year, there are only 4 situations when landlords can use no-cause evictions. First, if your landlord wants to demolish your building or convert it into something else, like a business. Second, if your landlord wants to make substantial repairs or renovate. Third, if your landlord or one of their family members decides to move in. And fourth, if your landlord has sold the apartment to someone else who wants to move in. For all of these situations, landlords still have to give 90 days notice. And if your landlord has 5 or more units, they also have to pay you a month's rent. The final piece of this new law says landlords can also evict in a 3 strikes situation. So, if you have a fixed-term lease and violate it 3 times in a year, your landlord can evict you at the end of your lease with 90 days notice and doesn't have to pay you anything. But even with these exceptions, for the first time ever, Oregon renters are now protected from large rent increases and no-cause evictions. These 2 protections work hand in hand to create more stable housing. 40% of Oregon households rent, so fewer rent hikes and evictions means more Oregonians will be able to stay in their homes and in their communities. For more information online about what you can do if your landlord violates these laws, visit OregonLawHelp.org. For additional legal help, you can call Oregon's Lawyer Referral Service at 1-800-452-7636. And to find out more about how current inflation rates are affecting your rent, visit Oregon.gov's rent stabilization page at the URL below.